This is Colin Digits. I'm here live at the Digits Club with Michael, CEO of Planet Mojo. We'll do a complete Q&A on their game, The Big Potential, with some big backers. Michael, how are you? Thank you for being here.
Great. Nice to be here. Thanks for having us here, Colin, and the rest of my team.
You brought your entire team. That's
no,
actually the first time.
No, this is a small fraction.
Yeah.
These are the only,
who do we have?
Speak. Yeah. Why don't you guys start and introduce yourselves? I can go last.
Yeah, I'll start.
Kendria. Okay, Ralph.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Ralph Girth. I'm the executive director here at Planet Mojo. Been in the industry since around 1993. Started with Michael at LucasArts, although he was there before me. And, I've been in art and game design and even studio management. So that's my background.
All right,
Andrea?
nice.
Hey, good morning or good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Kendria. Actually, I work with them on community, so I head up community and try and put my strong opinions on other areas. But I'm all things community, really love it, love this game, and yeah, just really glad to be here, and let's talk about it.
Perfect.
Hi, I'm Eric Campanella. I'm the art director at Mystic Moose. I've been in the industry for 25 years. Got me started at Interplay. I worked on titles like Planescape Torment and Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Eventually went to Electronic Arts and Activision, worked on games like Command & Conquer Generals and the Call of Duty series. I've also worked on several mobile titles and been working on and off with Mike and his company for the last 10 years or so. And we recently released our first virtual reality game, Sam & Max. This time it's virtual, which is a really fascinating experience. And then last year, Mike started exploring the blockchain, and it got me really interested. And so the whole team's kind of done a deep dive into understanding how it works and stuff. And one of the things I think is most intriguing is the community that surrounds all of these and the support that the community provides.
Well, let's hear it.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah,
bringing a good team, Mike.
Yeah, thanks. And yeah, I'm Mike Levine. As you can tell, well, Ralph, Eric, and I come from a long history of game development. Kendria, actually, she really has great blockchain experience and has been in the space. And we have other team members as well, but who come from blockchain, but we're largely game developers. And, I think the theme of my career has always been gravitating towards what's new, the bleeding edge, cool things. And that's kind of how I got my start at LucasArts back in the day, and kind of creating and running the visual effects department there ultimately, and really just got to work on some cool games. But just over the years, we got into, as Eric was alluding to, augmented reality and virtual reality very early. Right. We were, I was visiting Magic Leap in, probably 2015 or earlier, and several times. And so just that was an amazing journey. Let us work with Niantic and many other companies in the space. But as we were creating Sam & Max, that's sort of when I caught the blockchain bug. And really, first for me, I heard about NFTs early, like before they blew up, maybe the couple months before Beeple or something. But before that happened, I just that led me to games, because I thought NFTs were cool, but I also thought it was very low barrier to entry. Every brand in the planet is going to have these things soon. And I said to myself, what is going to bring NFTs more utility and more value, right? And that was obviously games. And so that's kind of what led us and me down this very deep rabbit hole.
Right. Well, it's good that we agree on that, at least. That's a good start, that we agree on the NFT utility, because I think, at least in our community, we always try to stress that, I think the status on these NFTs is great, but the utility is definitely important. So what I understand is you have quite a big team, specifically in the traditional gaming space, right? A vast experience of developing games. What made it so interesting to make that switch into the blockchain apart from perhaps the lower barrier of entry? Is there something on the technical side, or is it more like a business decision?
Oh, I mean, there were so many things that attracted to us and me to this. I mean, this to me is a paradigm shift for gaming, you know, and we're at the beginning of it. And it's the democratization, really, to me, of gaming. And we've always been an independent game developer. So yes, we have a team of, you know, 15 plus, but we're not like 150 like some other studios. And
Right.
you know, traditional gaming right now it's making lots of money, but there's all kinds of issues with it. And if you look at sort of the economy and what it takes to publish a game, just to first get a deal with a publisher that usually wants to recoup all the money, you know, that they're paying for the game up front, then you have the platform fees of 30%. And to me, one of the things about blockchain is reshuffling that deck, leveling the playing field. We can take the 30% that we were giving to Steam, Apple, et cetera, and give that back to the players and the users, right, and the community. Right. And that's the other piece of this too, is community. Community in gaming has been this thing that's evolving over the last decade. It's become like a much more important thing, and this is an evolution of that, because now people are invested in the game, in the assets, in the growth of the community, and ultimately decentralization and governance and having a say in where we take this.
Right. So I assume
there's a lot
from that point of view. Yeah. So definitely a good foundation, I think, in regards to the tokenomics, right? So I assume on the tokenomics side of things, we'll see a split there, as we usually see, right? Because I'm not familiar with how the casual gaming original part works, but of course I'm very familiar with, well, my thing out of the entire white paper is the tokenomics, right? What does it look like? How does it move? Before we go into that direction, which is basically our favorite part, could you tell us about Planet Mojo? Because as far as I understand, the artwork is one of my favorite things. Apart from that, it's like a suite of games, right? It's not like one primary focus thing. How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me share something.
Sure.
So we have some art to look at, which is much better than looking at my face. Okay. Can you guys see this okay?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to presentation mode here.
I like that you have like 500,000 tabs open.
Yes.
That's what we see. That's what we see with everybody.
Thank God for Chrome group tabs, or I would be, yeah, I don't know what I'd do. Anyway, so yeah, you know, we're game developers. So we're going to talk about the game. And look, we've also made many free-to-play games over the years, which also have economies in them. And so we can get into that. And we see these games as extensions and evolution of that, right? Where you're now going to have these economies are real. They're real living, breathing things. So, but on the game side, and we put a lot of thought and time into what we wanted to make and looked at the space and what was being made. And our passion is to build original, you know, IP and worlds. And so also, if you look at the history of gaming, whenever there's sort of a platform shift and a paradigm change, there's this unique opportunity for new IP to be born. You know, you think back to mobile, Angry Birds and Supercell, and that always, you know, a console launch, there's always a new IP that emerges. And so this seemed like a great opportunity. We wanted to build something that stood the test of time, but most importantly had a story, a narrative, and characters that we can make many games from, because that really is our ultimate vision, to have a suite of games where people who own these NFTs will be able to take them to different games. They'll have different abilities and value in different games, but overall, the ability to bring them to new experiences and customize them, and sort of increasing the value over time.
Right.
So,
and Mike, one question maybe in between. When you say games, right? Because obviously I would have an understanding of a game. Are we talking about like games, or let's say the whole thing is like one game and there's like mini games? Because if you have utility for the NFT, are we talking like games Like maybe I don't have like a proper example, like a Call of
No,
Duty game.
I think I
maybe
know
that's like
exactly.
too big.
Yeah, I think I know what you're asking, and I think I can answer that. Is that so? I mean, I think what you're talking about ultimately, like jumping to the end, that's where we
Yeah,
want to be. Is like we have a world, and you can literally explore around and move into different games. Initially, and maybe always as well, you'll have the ability sort of to have these isolated games if you don't want to deal with the whole world and you love auto chess, which is our first game, or if we make like a different kind of PvP game after that, that's your passion. You could jump right into that too. So we want to have both. We'll have to grow to get there, but
sure.
ultimately we're launching, for example, with an auto chess game, which we can talk about, which is a new exciting genre, but we're also going to have land-based gameplay from day one. And the land is kind of the hub. It's your home, and that will ultimately connect all these different experiences.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Just showing some cool stuff here. And so this shows the birth of a Mojo, which is a special character and our first NFTs that we're going to be launching soon, that are these magical plant-based creatures that the planet gives birth to help fight a mysterious threat. That was sort of what you saw there at the beginning with the crater. We're working on a very high-end cinematic with friends of ours from Pixar and ILM. This is a little glimpse into that, and just other shots of the world. These are concept sketches of our land, which we're going to be releasing later as NFTs, and the land is going to have day and night cycles. You see, you get little homes for your Mojos, and if anyone played like Animal Crossing, it's kind of like a very light version of that, which we plan to continue to grow and add features to over time. So little Mojo homes, plants. And yeah, these are some shots of our first NFTs, which Kendria will talk about. We have a upcoming exciting event coming for these to be able to get whitelisted and access to these. And everyone is going to be completely unique. Ralph, you want to talk about these just quickly?
Yeah, sure. As you mentioned, these are the Mojos. They're the main character in the game. And we have plans for about a little under 10,000 to start off with. And they're plant-based creatures. And the first batch will be vines, flower, leaf, and moss inspired. And they're all unique. There's a combination of attributes which will all be posted and available to owners, and these will be when you first get your NFT, you'll receive this seed, and from there we'll reveal the randomly distributed Mojo to the owners, and that will be coming pretty soon. I think in the next few weeks, we're going to be releasing some information about an exciting special event that Kendria is going to be talking about.
Right, so we basically go into two stages, right? I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Chumbi Valley NFT mint, doing seeds first, and then from the seed, basically it hatches the Mojo, right?
Yes, exactly. And the seed process will be manual, so there might be some people
an animation.
The seeds, for a little bit longer. Yeah, but so kind of like Clone X, you'll decide when you want to hatch it by adding some magic water, and then they will turn into. This is sort of
these cute little guys. It's kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy Pokemon kind of hybrid, yeah?
I usually just wait for people to say that, or there's got a lot of Groot comparisons. These are they're definitely friends of Groot. And the NFTs, by the way, not only will everyone look unique, they will also have unique animations, some of them will have unique poses. And one of the really special things about our game, I haven't seen too many other projects do, is when people like in Fortnite, you know how dances are really popular. People
Right.
can win animations and skins in this game, and when they put them on their Mojos, that will also update their NFTs. And so their NFTs will also change and evolve. They'll be like living things. And that's in addition to the stats and whatnot from the game as well.
Cool. All right. Well, is it like then from, because like the NFTs, you got these guys, because the guys in the chat are saying like, oh, we played many auto chess games. I actually personally have no clue what an auto chess game is.
Yeah, so we can talk about, and so the Mojos are playable characters in the auto chess game. Like I know if people play TFT or whatever, they know your cute little mascots, but we were like, let's get them in the game, you know? So they'll have spells and abilities depending on their class, but they're going to be fighting alongside these guys. And I mean, Eric can talk quickly about the champions, which these will come later when the game comes. And by the way, we're not a project that is going to take years for this game to come out. These NFTs, the Mojos are coming out in the next month. This game in its early access will be coming out this summer. So, you know, we're talking midsummer.
Oh, that's quick.
Yeah. And we've been working on this. It's going to come out in the web first, WebGL, full 3D, all these characters. This is concept art. I'll let Eric talk about the champions. But the champions, I was going to say, will come out as the game comes out closer to that. And people who purchase the Mojos will be automatically whitelisted for deals and packs on the champions and the land as well.
Right, so the Mojos are very powerful little various types of wizards that draw on the planet's life energy itself to defend against whatever threats are coming. And the champions, since the Mojos are very young and inexperienced, the champions are needed as a way to protect them as they grow in their power. So what we wanted to do was, in this sort of alternate universes, evolve the champions along the lines of how humans have, but like, you know, different anthropomorphic animals. So we've got bears and rhinoceros and hippos and ideas based on those. They don't literally need to be 100% those creatures, but you know, we took those as a basis because we just thought that was really cool. We want to infuse them with different personalities. They come from different backgrounds and different technology levels. Most of them are pretty primitive and tribal. That kind of stays in the theme of the more natural side of our planet's concept. But some of them can be somewhat more advanced, you know, up to, you know, sort of Aztec technology levels and things like that. You know, some of them are able to tap into the energy from the planet and cast magic. Other ones are just brutal warriors, like that hippo. We have, you know, we have stealthy characters, assassins, and of course, all of these work in concert on the battlefield for auto chess. And you know, you can strategize how you want to use them. They have 3 different levels of advancement we reflect visually on the battlefield as well as you level them up, which, you know, gives some nice feedback to people and can get them excited. We're going to continue to expand on this this roster, but this is sort of our starting lineup here. You can see the turtle cleric, for example.
People who play auto chess know how they can level up in the game. We're going to be doing some unique things, though, with our auto chess because we're flipping the script a little bit, right? For blockchain, people are going to own these assets. And so we wanted the ability for people to make their own teams and decks. So they'll be able to make different combinations, experiment with their different abilities and use them in the game. And then outside the game, this is atypical from auto chess, these characters can be leveled up. And so players will have the ability to raise the value of them essentially. And then in our marketplace or in other marketplaces, sell higher, you know, for players who want to get in early and not spend that time to get that higher rank character. That is a model here for people to play and explore.
I have many questions right now, but it does start with this auto chess, right? So if you could briefly touch upon that auto chess. Thanks, Eric. That was great. About the auto chess system, how the actual gameplay works. Because now I'm thinking, like, I'm this small little mojo. These guardians are protecting me, but I don't know what the actual game is doing. if it's like tower
Yeah.
defense or something
Well,
like this.
very soon we're going to be showing off gameplay, which we're excited to. But I mean, I'll just try to explain what auto chess
Yeah,
is
sure.
verbally. But I think people who've played Teamfight Tactics, Dota 2, etc., we're in that camp compared to like Hearthstone Battlegrounds, right? We're gonna have these 3D characters, and really auto chess is sort of, I guess, a subgenre of auto battlers, which there are many types of as well, but puts it on a grid really like chess. We had made a game, just to give a little history, in 2017 called Hollow Grid Monster Battle. We made that with Phil Tippett. He's the guy who made the Star Wars Hollow Chess scene. So there was really no precedent. We're like, how do we turn this into a game? There was a couple other people experimenting. Our game was very chess-like, turn-based, one at a time. 2019, Dota 2, really, the first auto chess came out of that. And there was kind of an explosion where Teamfight Tactics and other games quickly came out. So what it does is it puts the strategy more in your team building and how you're drafting characters, essentially combining them together, and then strategically placing them on the board. We're going to be adding a few new things to the formula, like we'll call them spells for the moment, but that you can also place on the board in addition to the characters, sort of strategically where to go off, AoE stuff. And then you have a timer basically where you're doing this strategy part, the timer ends, and then the match begins. And that's where it's an auto battle. You sort of sit back, watch this visual feast, and but you're watching, did I, how did things work that I did, what worked, what didn't work, try it again.
Is it like, is after the first lap, let's just call it lap, I don't know what it's called, I don't want to offend you game developers.
Yeah, round.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's say after one round, then how long does that take, one round?
Oh boy, well, the way auto chess works is it builds up, right? So you're usually starting with like one-on-one character and you're drafting, and then you move to 2 versus 2. By the end, you're like 10 versus 10. So the first matches are very short, right? They're like a few seconds basically. Then it grows exponentially. And historically, and we have a big emphasis, by the way, on tournaments and what we're doing, and that's part of our ecosystem. Players will have to sort of earn to get into those spots, but yeah, tournaments are very important to us. And basically the auto chess part, you're, combining these characters essentially and moving through historically a match of 8v8, right? So we'll have this in our tournament. So it's kind of a mini sort of esports tournament always going on. And so you're playing against one guy, the winner then, depending on the rank, goes up to the next one. You're winning gold, which also determines what characters you can draft, etc. So there's a lot of strategy and very much a multiplayer kind of PvP thing, which is one of the other reasons we like this genre for
yeah, that makes sense.
3.
I think the PvP part is huge. But let's say I'm a beginner. Yeah, I want to enter the Planet Mojo. Is it free to play to kick off?
Yeah, so we have a phased launch approach, and we'll be launching these NFTs over the next few months, and then the early access game that comes out over the summer will be one of the rewards you get for buying the NFTs. So our first early users will have to own the NFTs or work with guilds we're working with guilds to get them NFTs as well. And we look to them to help us balance the game over the summer. We'll have some tournaments as well, where there'll be earnings for our token, which will launch with the game as well. And then our sort of phase 2, when we're launching with 6 champions initially. By the fall, we hope to have 20. That's when we look at a sort of our full launch in the fall. And that's when we have ideas to open it up to a much wider audience of players who don't own the assets, who could level up and transition to those types of players.
Right. When you say a wider audience, what do you expect such a game like this? How many players would you say it's a tremendous success? Is after 1 year you hit like a certain player count?
Oh boy. I mean, in the early days, which we're focused on now, we're going to be, as Ralph said, we're releasing about 10,000 NFTs. And that's actually quite a lot for a first launch, just to balance a game like this. And work out all the kinks. So if we get, 50+% of those people playing initially, that's going to be great. I think in a year, hard to quote a number in terms of exactly where we want to be, but I would say in terms of a DAU, I mean, I'll say 1 million, but don't hold me to it because that's a pretty big number.
Yeah, but that would be like at least some kind of range, like I have no clue what these kind of games would do in terms of user base, but like 1 million, that's a lot.
Or maybe I should say MAU as well. And because we want to have sort of a tournament event focus, like we'll see big spikes when we do those, and then have sort of the hardcore players in between.
And this is where really community does come into it. So the owners then get into a private beta, and we're actually able to work with the community and those, to work out what kinks, what works for them, get their input. So we're really, excited about it because it's going to phase out right to a higher population, but we'll be able to take advantage of the smaller demographic right now. And so by the time, it's all said and done, I think everyone would have had their hands in it, and it'll be quite a delightful game.
I mean, let me just also,
really, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to say one thing, which we haven't said, that's really important about our project too, before we keep going, is like that our main focus with building this is long-term sustainability. We don't want to be a project that's here for 6 months and burns and then crashes, right? We're trying to build something long-term, like we're talking about at the beginning, ultimately getting that suite of games. But we've been all about, from the day we launched our website, it has said play and earn over play to earn. And we see this industry shifting to that. At first, I didn't get it when I first heard that, but like that one word, excuse me, that means everything, right? And that's, you're seeing Axie and others, which has been great, get on kind of board this, and that there's going to be a big shift in this space over the next 6 to 12 months. But we feel, I don't know, if you're looking at through like an investor lens, it's really the same thing, right? It's like you want something for the long term that's going to
definitely
grow value, not necessarily a quick kind of pull thing. So that's just, I think that's where the two attitudes come together.
Perfect. Let me ask you something on the advisory side of things, because one thing you did mention was quite interesting. Is there somebody on the NFT launches? Do you have any advisor on that?
Oh yeah, I mean, so we've had great partners as people look at our website, from Animoca, Republic, Alameda, Spartan, and others I'm forgetting right now. We've worked very closely with them, specifically Republic and Animoca, and our team members as well. We have some blockchain people and other advisors. So we're very much got a lot of input on what we're doing. Yeah, we've got a lot of input. And when we announce what we're doing with the NFTs, I think people will hear about it and hopefully be excited about it. Because, one of our themes also with this project is to give back to the planet and be eco-friendly. And that'll be something you'll see in our messaging coming up quite a bit.
Okay, that's one of my least favorite topics. I'm just going to be honest, but that's fine. I mean, I love it when projects have their passion, right? The thing is, with the, so I respect that, in terms of like, we see people giving back to like minorities, environment, water animals, whatever. That is great if it fits into the tokenomics, right? And everything that makes sense. The thing is, what I heard was when you said there's 10,000 NFTs, just under 10,000 NFTs, and the 5,000 players, right? Of course, we usually get involved with like gaming guilds to sponsor the NFTs, right? Where we just buy basically all the NFTs, we dump them with the guild, they run with it, and we get like the returns from it. So I'm really curious to know, and those were also some of the questions in the chat, how that mint is going to be planned. Is there like a whitelist? Is there like a specific mint per wallet? These type of things, because I would assume, like, I'm loving this, right? I'm really excited to hear your story. I think it's great. You're very passionate. But I can also see that other investors who would think like me, it's just we're going to buy 50 NFTs each, but we will never play your game, right? That's the problem. So how does that work?
Details of this are going to be coming very soon. We do have a very sort of exciting event we've planned to get people onto the whitelists and have an opportunity to buy them. In terms of how many people will get per, it's not going to be 50. I can tell you that. It's going to be pretty low initially. After, there's always the secondary markets, et cetera.
Right.
So we're saving a chunk of them for our own community and people who want to do this and get them from us directly. And then after that, without giving away too many details, because there'll be announcements, we'll work with partners and Launchpads as well. So there'll be opportunity if you miss the initial R mint to get it through them as well, but you'll still, be getting it directly from us.
Perfect. Okay. In terms of the blockchain for the NFTs?
Yeah, so great question. We're building on Polygon, and they were also part of our seed round as well and been a great partner of ours. And we're excited again about, building on them because of their technology, low gas fees, and the
support
future roadmap.
is huge. I've been told in terms of how they support their projects in that initial, at least building phase, but also, the first year after that, like launch period. When we talk about the launch period regarding the token itself, is there like a governance token, deflationary token? Could you elaborate how that's set up?
Yeah, sure. So just like with the NFT launch, we've put a tremendous amount of time and care into the economy and the tokenomics. We've worked with Republic and run this by all of our advisors. It's also been announced that we're going to be working with Machinations, which has a game economy simulation tool. They're working with some other projects, and we feel having them in our court as well sort of is, they can run thousands of simulations before the game goes live and after the game is live with real-time data as well. So gives us like an economist with a an AI brain to be analyzing the game for us. But yeah, so we're launching with one main governance and reward token, eventual governance, rewards initially. It's really extracted from the actual game side of it. We only have one token. It'll be mainly used for rewards in the tournaments. And then we have a soft in-game currency. And in auto chess, for example, we'll sort of have two modes if you think about it. The soft currency mode where you can win or what's called and level up your characters. And that helps you in basically craft these things that are battle stones. And battle stones get you into tournaments, and tournaments are where you can earn directly. And we plan on experimenting with the tournaments, listening to our community, working with partners, guilds. I want to see more guilds versus guild tournaments in this. It just seems great for
that would be cool.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. And have different types of reward mechanics and listen to the community, like not necessarily winner takes all, like have a big pool and the top 25% divide that evenly. So we think those huge opportunities to earn there through that type of mode, and sort of that's where the play and earn comes into it really, I think, and sort of play to own, I also call it, as well as the other side of how people can sort of add value to their assets in this game.
Yeah, that makes sense. You briefly picked up the Launchpads. Has there any decision been made which partner Launchpad you would like to use or when the IDO is happening, or is that still far away?
It's not that far away. I can't say specifically because there will be announcements coming up, but like if you look through our Twitter and partners we've announced, you can probably figure out a few of them because we've already announced, we've
Maybe
announced.
I should add some of my contacts and they will tell me.
Yeah, well, no, I can say we've announced the Poker Starter one on Twitter, so we can say that one at least.
Poker Starter, all right.
Yeah,
that's on the big side of things. Could I share my screen actually and go through the tokenomics of the white paper? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Because then I'll have some more of the interesting questions. When I say interesting, usually the people here call it difficult. but I always
I
like to
can't
be
wait.
difficult, right? Okay, so this is what I always do.
Hey, my internet connection's going down now. Sorry. No, go ahead.
Fair enough. I was like, you serious? All right, 20% team, that's normal, 5% advices. So on the initial sale, what does that mean? Is that the seed?
Yeah, those were our private. We've done another round, which we haven't announced officially, but that's a combination of our private sales, initial sales.
Private sales. Is it filled?
Yeah, it's overfilled.
Oh, okay, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's always good to know. And then public is basically what goes to the Launchpads, right?
Yep.
Okay. Anything which is not here, maybe it's under ecosystem fund, liquidity for the DEX?
Yeah, I mean, we may shift a little more to the public sales, so we can do small decks and have enough for market makers, etc. To not a lot, but possibly up to 3%. So that's something where, as we're talking to the exchanges, etc., just to make sure it works the way they want it to, and
Sure.
and best for everybody.
Yeah, and where would that percentage come from? From the ecosystem fund?
Yeah, which is essentially the treasury.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. So 1 year lock, so basically vested over 3 years with a 1 year cliff, right?
Correct.
Basically
Correct.
for everybody, so that's all fair, I would say. And when you say unlocked, you mean 100% TGE?
Yep.
Well, that's interesting. That is interesting. Why would you choose for 100% TG? Is it?
I mean, that's we're still, again, we're in these talks with the exchanges, so I guess these things could change if they have to, but right now that's the feedback we've gotten. For most people on public sales want to be able to have freedom with them, and it's a very small percentage.
So I'm just a guy who makes YouTube videos, right? But I review many white papers every week. And of course, what we do is we document these TGEs, these launches from an investment point of view, on like when they hit the DEX, when they hit the exchange, and that's what we do with our community, part of it. So what we usually see is 100% TGE is either if there's no liquidity provided by you guys, because percentage of that needs to be used for the liquidity farmers, right? Otherwise, there's no trades happening. However, if you provide the liquidity, what are the investors going to do on that initial pump? Dump, right? Which basically crashes your initial momentum and people panic, right? And when they panic, I mean, it's such a small percentage, right? But 2% of your tokens is still a lot of tokens, right? So we're still talking, I would assume, at least a couple 100K, right? That hits the market at once. And the problem with these launch pads, well, maybe not with Polkastarter, right? Because you're at the top of the launchpad market, but perhaps with like the smaller launch pads, when we talk about tier 2 launch pads, these guys are all for profit, 100%. So as soon as they see a 1x, a 2x, they dump their tokens. Wherefore 100% TG is risky. That's all I'm saying. But if you wouldn't provide liquidity, then it makes sense. So if it's not fixed, then it's fine. More
good
questions.
Feedback.
Yeah, I mean, like just my thoughts, right? Just on my own experience. I'm always interested to see the player rewards, right? Because that's basically, I assume, free for you guys to use as you see fit, right? To give to the players. Relative to your roadmap, how long do you think you would need to hand out these tokens? Is it like a 2-year thing? Is it like a 5-year thing?
I think if you scroll down to the emissions.
Oh, perfect. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, so if you look carefully, player rewards, I mean, that stretches out over, a 60-month period.
Yeah. Okay, so that we're talking 5 years. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. All right.
I let you do the
Tokenomics are
math.
actually quite simple, so that's easy. There's not too much hidden information, too many secrets. In terms of the advisory, right, that you get, is it something you handpicked yourself in terms of who you would like to partner with, or was it more like a strategic approach to also get what you want, but maybe on a different level?
I mean, it was a combination of that, I suppose, right? We didn't reach out to people per se. It was more the right partners that it was worth giving it to, but ultimately it was our decision who we wanted to bring on as advisors and give those tokens to. So yeah, we've had a lot of interest, but only sort of had that small pool to hand out, and we've been pretty selective with it.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think the overview of the advisors is that, because I know you have your entire team. That's one of that. When I looked at it, it was one of my favorite things, right? When we got the message about you guys, that the entire team is there with all their LinkedIns. We really appreciate that. The team is definitely important. Is there any information on the advisors, or is it in the white paper?
Is it in the white paper? If it's not, we certainly can. Yeah, I think we have.
Just a little bit. Right
yeah,
there.
there's some, but there's others not listed. I mean, some of our advisors are actually directly from the funds itself. So Republic, Animoca as well. So they've definitely they're part of that advisor pool as well.
Perfect. But yeah, sorry, I didn't see them. They were on the next page. I see for the guilds you got Merit Circle here. Any other interesting guilds that have shown interest, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've been making announcements, do multiple a week, and doing AMAs with help me out, Kendria, Ralph, but Rainmaker, Tuzane. Yeah. There's more.
Yeah.
Avocado.
Ready Player.
Ready Player.
Right.
Yep.
Ready Player DAO. They just raised a lot of money.
Path.
Yeah.
Path,
a few others. Yeah. Path DAO.
Because in regards to the guilds, like I am familiar with guilds, but we don't really support that side of like the player side of things, right? How important do you think these guilds are for the adoption of a user base on your actual game? Is it like 60% of the players that they bring, or more or less, something like this?
Easier to answer that after launch, but I think it'll be in that range, 50 to 60.
Yeah.
And I think they're critical in the early stages of these games to bring in players. Look, I think as these games evolved, as I said, over the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to see guilds evolve as well. And that's why we've tried to align ourselves who with the ones who really get this, who aren't, because guilds can go very badly, also they can come in and kind of destroy your economy and move on to the next game. And like I said, we don't want to be just here for 6 months. So we've tried to align ourselves with the ones who understand this space is shifting. And if the focus initially is on building a fun game experience that people actually want to play, then the earning is 10 hundreds fold, right?
Right.
I like to give the extreme example of Magic the Gathering, which existed for 10 years, right? As a card game, there were no paid tournaments, but people loved the game. And then one day someone had the idea, well, why don't we do paid tournament? And now there's multi-million-dollar Magic and Pokemon and other tournaments like that. It won't take us 10 years, but that's sort of that same mindset, is fun first, then earning, and then earning will be much greater, as opposed to, otherwise we could just be putting a button on the screen. Let's be real.
Yeah, that makes sense. In terms of perhaps I know, like, obviously, whenever I ask this question, people always say like, oh, we can't say anything on the price or any prediction of the price, all the liability that comes with it. So I will ask my questions quite fake. In terms of like projection, let's say the acceleration of your token launch relative to the game launch, relative to all the next chapters to come, because I assume every time such a mini game launches, there's an influx of new players, spike in the internal economy of the game, right? And of course, as a investor, we're always looking to support a project as long as possible until a certain maturity stage and or decline, right? Where either things are not working anymore. where would you think that on the roadmap, because short term, it's quite clear, right? The next stages happen quite quickly. You said summertime is already when things start to happen inside the game, right? When do you think after the, I want to call it battle chest, but I don't know what it's called.
That's fine.
The chest thingy.
Chest thingy's fine too.
Thereafter, when like the next module would hit the market, you assume, or the game?
Sure, that's a great question. And here's my answer. So first off, we want to obviously be totally focused on making sure Mojo Melee, which is the name of our auto chess, is a fun, awesome game. So we can't like overlook that and just start thinking about the next one, even though we have a little bit. But, you know, timeline-wise, you know, just a rough estimate, I would say 9 to 12 months off, probably a year till we fully launch that next game. But again, our land-based play and auto chess we'll be iterating. We'll be releasing. Auto chess is important to know. Players know this is a seasonal-based game. So every 3 months, we'll be releasing new champions, new arenas. The game will be expanding and growing until we do that. In terms of the next game, you know, we have some ideas about what we want to do, but we also want to like listen to the community. So as we're growing the community over the year, we'll eventually put that up to hopefully true governance and let people decide what kind of game we will make next.
Yeah.
You know, what genre they like most. And you know, that's really how this needs to work going forward.
Yeah, if you have a 5-year vision in mind, or at least beyond 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Let's say.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah. No, I mean,
that makes perfect sense. When you just to line everything up, right, from right now to the next big steps, we have basically there will be some whitelist qualification flow. I assume your Discord, your Twitter, that's where you need to be to get on that. Then you get this the mint for the seed potentially, which turns into a mojo. Which how do the guardians come into play? Is that bought off a marketplace, or is that also something you acquire just in the game? It's not an NFT.
Yeah, so in terms of the first thing you were saying, yes, pay attention to our Twitter and Discord because it's not going to be obvious. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to we've put a bit of work into this, and it will be fun, and you'll have to use your brain a little bit. And then what we'll do before the game comes out is anyone who gets a mojo will be whitelisted, like I said earlier, to have opportunity to get packs. The champions will be NFTs, but we'll pack it all together at a discount for people who buy the mojos first. And then they'll be able to, what we don't sell out of packs, then we'll sell individual items publicly, probably for the rest. You know, those plans are TBD, except the first part definitely is people who get the mojos will have access to these at a discount and from the public prices. And yeah, from there, the game will come out shortly after, like I said, in the summer. That's when also we plan to do the IDOs and the tokens, dexes, sexes, etc. And from there, really expand then the game to the full launch, like I said, in the fall, where we'll open it up and working with our partners, our guilds, and other esports organizations that we're talking to, you know, try to really have some big tournaments and online events that people can participate in. And ultimately, we want to open those up to everyone, you know, to experience the game and have a chance, even if you don't own those. Sorry, Kendria, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to answer your immediate question as far as the allow list and some things that are happening currently and leading up into the next month or so. So right now, if you were to come in onto our Discord, we are currently in a Gleam contest right now to expand our brand awareness called Found My Mojo. So there's some opportunity right now to be in a lottery type contest to get that space on the allow list. We're calling it allow list instead of a whitelist, but it's the same thing. Again, it's a paradigm shift on how we feel and being more inclusive of those who are going to be joining the project. But what I would leak a little alpha to everyone today is that, as Mike mentioned, I would really stay connected to our Discord and our Twitter. There are going to be some things that are unfolding in the next month. We love Earth Day, hint, hint, Earth Day. You might want to start looking around that time period for more things to emerge. I know what you were saying about charities, but I would say just because the incept with Mojo is plant-based, pretty much ecologically, that's very near to our heart. So those type of things, I would take a look at and grow. Come into our growing community right now. I mean, things are pretty much catching fire, so it's really good to be at the at a inflection point where you can be early.
Awesome. So some difficult questions for you. When we would talk about the community, right, and the story, it's one of the favorite things that I love, right? I'm working for one of our own projects on a storyboard, on an animated trailer. I love that. But as an investor, I hate that, because I can't be in Discord all the time, right? Or I need let my assistant check your Twitter and Discord every day. So how would you go about, because I understand that there's like some individuals that will do these gleams, but for the higher ranking investor, which I would say we represent as a community, you know, they don't want to play the odds of getting a whitelist spot when they know I love this game. So for me, let me explain my personal strategy. If your mint would be 0.5 Ethereum, I'm not going to grind the whitelist. I'll just buy it from 1 Ethereum off OpenSea, right? Because I like this game. This is what I will commit to, and I don't mind paying double before the reveal happens. How would you suggest those people go about following Planet Mojo and perhaps taking a different action?
You know, that's a really great question, and I would have to say I would have to mull that over a little bit, because part of what we're looking for is that long-term committed player, right? Or to that committed person who sees the vision and wants to be, you know, interactive inside the community and follow our Twitter and engage that way. So, you know, I again, just to be honest, I'd have to look at that from a purely investor kind of like sentiment. But, you know, what we're talking about is that one that becomes gooey because we're building such a fun environment for them to, you know, to stay tuned to. I'd like to think that our message is going to be amplified by our partners. So I'm certain, as savvy investors as you all are, you have your finger on the pulse of what's going on in CT and what's developing within the space, so that you'll catch the wind of that as well. Yeah, that's a great question.
But I think like the way we look at it too, right, is just also coming from traditional games, right? Like in mobile, like it sort of became fleshed out over time. We have these different personas in mobile: whales, you know, dolphins, minnows. You're talking about a whale, right? That's kind of what you are. And what we're learning in this space is that there are new personas, right? There's the big end investor, the speculators, the game players, and so that's part of the challenge of this space, really, is to figure out not to shun people away like you. If you don't want to do the work and you're willing to pay extra, that we shouldn't have a problem with that, honestly, in my opinion. That's the market working itself out. I mean, the people who want to work harder earlier to get a special deal. And look, the contest event we're putting up, it's fun, and we want people to have fun with it. But the reality is, if you're paying attention, it's going to be easily cheatable. People are sure going to be putting
Don't
up.
say that.
Putting
Don't say
up.
that. Andrea doesn't like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's there to enjoy it and wrap yourself in, you know, what we're kind of doing and building, and I think people who go through it will appreciate it.
And hey, it seems kind of naive, but I think that we've seen so much opportunity within the crypto and blockchain space that we've gotten away from like the basics of fun, right? So games are an opportunity for you to kind of like, you know, escape and to have another, you know, view. And so we really are doing things that are capturing that element of trying to be fun again. And I think in and of itself, that will end up having some rabid loyalty, because right now it's just, we're trying to create a space where you can just get back to being curious. And so when you say grinding, I kind of clinch a little bit, because so much of the foundation of our community has been against that. I mean, in the initial stage, we had an outroar by some people who were coming in and quickly left, because we weren't about grinding. We're not about HP and who has the highest, by like putting a Q in the chat space so that they could just be counted in the role of having a high HP on there, or doing the, invite 10 friends, and all these bots are being,
Right,
I mean,
which
we're
is usually-
Yeah,
really, right.
Andrea's really done a good job building an organic community of people.
And that's what,
yeah, and we did an
Yeah.
art contest like a few weeks ago, and if you look
Some
back and see
amazing-
that, I mean, you can see the devotion people had to that. And look, we have an economy. We're going to be rewarding people. There are ways to reward in this game, but if you look at like the big picture and like these massive gaming franchises that didn't have any of that stuff, but they still go on to be worth billions of dollars. So that's really what we want to build here, but the Web3 version of that.
right.
Yeah,
So,
I like it.
some people might say it's a slow fire, but it'll be a raging one by the time that we're done with it, because we really want to do it on an organic basis, where this is a great thing about blockchain, right? People can find their communities, they can find their tribes, right? I mean, there are billions in the earth, right? We don't want all the billions, but we want a really concentrated group who believe in the game and want to build with us, want to grow with us. And so we're not going to come out with the, like the kitschy things, the, like flash in the night or whatever. We'll build this community. It's organic. We've got really people who are becoming, like, I hate to say this, but like family, right? The people that are going to be in Discord that you're going to be hanging out with,
the slow and steady,
questions.
keep it all together,
so that it grows, right? And so I think that's really good too, economically based too, because then you don't have a myriad of flippers coming in wanting to get the assets, flip them on secondary market, and don't care about the establishment of the game. I mean, business is going to happen and these things, but we're trying to control that so that really the hands are into the people who want to build with us long term.
Yeah, I think it's
one thing
sorry. Yeah, it's more like the percentages, right? It's like the percentages. So I love how passionate you are about a community. It's your thing. I can feel it, right? I love building communities myself, but with a different point of view, right? Because we look like with the investment lens on it. And when you talk about the community, the slow and steady, I 100% agree with that. But also me not being in that audience, I would probably, if I would tie into Mike's story about like every role will be there, right? I'll probably be in the 5% of people that will passively invest for the long term. So I will be in the community, but I will check it like once every 2 weeks, and I will have like 60 Discord notifications because I don't check it every day. And then you have like these hardcore guys that support you guys all along the way. And I put my trust basically 50% in you guys as a team, and 50% in that strong community that you've built, because they will make it happen, right? You are very confident that you can do it. You have a lot of experience, and these guys that are continuously, basically your cheerleaders at the end of the day, right? They are very important, in my opinion, for the investors. And that's one thing. If that signal is clear, I think, then 100% TGE shouldn't necessarily have to be a problem, right? But because that case, it just shows so much confidence, and also investors will publicly announce that there's bullishness for the long term, right? Specifically, if these windows are quite close together, going from like a token sale on the game launch to 3-6 months later, that's relatively long time in the crypto space. But in real life, that those days go by so fast, right? So then will be like another huge opportunity there. So yeah, I really think that's one of the strong parts here. Maybe another interesting question here from the audience, from a investor's point of view, more about your studio, right? It has a cool name.
Yeah, I wanted to answer this one. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I saw that one. Thank you. Yeah, this is all we're doing. That we are 100% focused on this. I mean, you don't want to know how many hours a day. And in crypto, as they say, crypto never sleeps, but I've learned it's mainly because everyone's on different time zones. So, you know, I'm up 6 a.m. doing calls earlier than that sometimes, and, you know, ending the days late. So yeah, this is it. We're living and breathing this, and we're learning every single day, you know, about this space. And, you know, really what we've learned is that there are no experts. There are no perfect models to chase here. That's one thing that's very different about past gaming paradigm shifts. There was always like Zynga or Facebook, or, you know, like, just, okay, follow that model. And that's very, we have Axie, but everyone knows Axie's imperfect, right? Including Axie. So they're trying to fix it. And so that's why we have partners like Machinations and some, you know, game designers, and we've plotted a lot out. And that's why we want to start slow too. That's why we have an in-game currency only first, a soft currency, which we could turn into our second token someday if the economy is balanced. Because, you know, I heard a podcast the other day from a big Axie KOL, and he was talking about what Axie should be and what he's told them. And he basically described exactly what we're doing. So I was like, well, I hope he knows what he's talking about. So it was nice to hear at least that exact, you know, he basically said they just shouldn't have SLP, and it'll make AXS even stronger. And that's really what we're doing.
How fast do you think you can adjust as a studio? Because I know nothing about game development, but let's say there's major changes in the NFT space, because in my opinion, the NFT space will evolve faster than perhaps the crypto space, because the blockchains are quite set or whatever. But on the NFT side, things are very much still open, and we're just at the beginning there, because the NFTs are a foundation basically of the game, right? How fast would you be able to adapt to these certain things? And I don't even know what to expect, because it's all unknown, right?
I mean, everything we're building is modular and nimble. That's what we've been trained to do for 25 years. And, you know, if you're talking about like switching to a new NFT standard or something like that, yeah, we've looked at those, and we're actually close to some of the people involved with that. So that's not going to be a problem. But also the way we're building this is very flexible, as I talked about, like the metadata and how we're handling that. We're actually going to be storing the metadata part on Web 2, which is going to give us a lot of flexibility. But the smart contracts and all the assets will be, you know, non-custodial, completely owned in people's wallets. But that gives us the opportunity to do some really special, fun things as well.
Exciting. What would you say? Because I think I have a very clear picture. Your amazing presentation. I think this was one of the better AMAs that we've had, at least. Usually I have half an understanding of the game, and I feel like I now have at least a proper understanding. I'll give you 8.5 out of 10. On your, and then that's higher than usual. On your overview, right? Because definitely focused on keeping up with you guys in the next 3 months, at least. I think we would ride the hype wave all the way until the Launchpads at least, right? What do you say, according to you, are the most important things in the next coming weeks?
I mean, really everything right now. I mean, we're doing, you know, there are multiple plates spinning. We're working on the game, and that's very important. But the most important thing really in the next few weeks is this upcoming Mojo NFT launch, and everything we're doing around that, partnerships, growing our message leading up to that point is our, you know, we want that to sell out very quickly, obviously. And I think I saw someone asking about the price. We haven't announced that, but we think the initial Mojos are, you know, affordable. They're not going to be one of these insanely high price projects to get into. I don't want to badmouth other projects, but it's, you know, it's not going to cost $12,000, not even close, to get into this game initially.
And you have to think about it. I mean, again, to get off my soapbox, I will in a second, but I think as you'll see, everything that we're doing is towards the community base and towards I mean, we love our whales, but wanting to make the game accessible and get it into as many hands as possible. So the choice with Polygon, the price that we're considering is also that it can be accessible and just fun to just get this in the hands that people will amplify it in themselves once they become addicted.
And yeah, and I didn't mention too that, you know, to get access to those other packs and everything, you have to hold on to your mojos, by the way. You don't just get automatically. We want people to hold on to them. And even with the tokens, like I said, there'll be staking we'll introduce as well. So we want to introduce that long-term value.
Would you be able to stake the mojo to get tokens?
Potentially. We've talked about it. It's a possible option we're looking at.
And if I would, let's say, if the mojo changes owner, it's not set that the opportunities that follow after the mojo mint, it's not connected to the wallet, it's connected to the actual NFT.
If I'm following you, yes. Or you're saying
some
whoever ends up owning it, will they have access to? Oh, that's an interesting question. I think we have to discuss that, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
You're the first one who's asked that.
Yeah,
but you'll want to think of it.
It's a great question.
Yeah, you'll want to think of it. I don't know if you're familiar with World of Women, PFP that's going on right now. If you're an owner of the WoW, you are eligible every month for a specific NFT artist drop. So, but the asset has to remain in your, it has to be in your wallet. You have to be the owner of it. So we'll have further conversations, Mike said, but you want to kind of like tacitly get that in your mind that as long as that you own the mojo, it will make you eligible for other things that are to come.
We want to reward the early adopters, if I'm really thinking this through, honestly, that's the intent with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we see this all the time. The reason I'm addressing it, because we saw one major game, let's not drop any names, but they attached the future potential airdrops to the minting wallet, which means people sold their NFTs, people bought them, and then later they announced, yeah, all these airdrops, they're for the minting wallet, which means that...
That's a good, we got to be very clear on this.
That was like a huge mess. No, that was literally the only project that I saw doing that, which literally, and it's like a huge project, right? But literally makes no sense, because obviously you don't want to reward the people dumping your game assets, right? At the end of the day. Yet that is something for them to solve.
If I can say, I see a few questions about marketing. I just wanted to say we're working with multiple marketing agencies, including ones that were behind Star Atlas and some of like the true experts we feel of this space. So we're very excited to be working with them.
That's how we got here today. So, I mean, you guys are definitely doing the right thing. We're usually quite selective in what we picked up, but it looked really good. And now I know for sure that it will be really promising already in the short term. So we will definitely keep up to date with you guys. Is there anything you would like to add for today, Mike, or team?
Yeah, anyone, but just thanks for having us here and all the great questions. And this is gonna be a learning journey for everybody over the next 12 months. So we're excited.
Exciting, yeah.
You all have an open invitation to join our community. I'm always there and watching, so I'd love to see some of the names come in. We'll welcome you right.
Perfect. I'll make sure that we will, for the first time, make a document out of this AMA. So we will actually publish that as well. Some premium service, because I like you guys so much. And there will be a link in the Discord on that document so people can join you. Thank you guys so much for being here, taking the time to speak with our little precious community. I hope to see you guys again in the future. We'll stay in contact, keep up to date.
Let's do it again.
Planet Mojo
thanks,
stuff.
Maybe around token time. But yeah, thanks again.
Exciting.
Thanks again. Have a great day and evening. Bye.
Much,
Thank you.
Eric, Ralph, thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Colin.
Have a good one. Take care.